Hello, just typing, doing dev chat. Hello. Let me make sure that all my stuff is set up. I'm like rushing because I did not do a good job managing my time today. Okay, let's see. Try to keep things going. All right, so let's open our agenda for today. I have some stuff open from last time that I need to get to, so I'll do that after dev chat. I don't know what this means. Okay. Any announcements? Let's see. Announcements, highlighted blog posts. Let me clap some stuff. Oh. I have a DM, but I don't want to open my DMs on screen, even though, again, I don't think anybody's sending me anything salacious, but... Ooh, what am I doing? I'm a big mess today. I guess it's important to show people that sometimes we can be messy too. All right. 2021 theme. That's super exciting. Yeah. Quarterly updates from team coming soon. What does team mean? So what you're talking about is make updates. This is make.wordpress.org/updates. Oh, from teams, all the teams. Yes. This is what the team reps thing. It's not what it was about, but this is part of the team rep responsibilities, is to post these updates so that people can kind of get an overview of what's going on between teams without having to follow along with like everything everybody's doing day to day. I feel like it has not been well used by some teams, possibly including core, for quite some time. But yeah, you can see like mobile team, Mika does a great job updating about some plugin stats. So, you can get an overview of what's going on across all of WordPress, because the WordPress project is not just the core software. That's the part that I work on, but yes, core is all one team for that purpose. Yes. So components of core should be posting on make core with those sort of if we get back to sort of an update cadence. I've actually been talking about this, and I think that it's probably best if I work on this. I want to write a blog post talking about components and how we can kind of shape feedback and solicit it on a regular basis, and that would all be on make core, and then core is one team that then would post on make updates. I was the core team rep for a very, very, very long time. I used to do those updates, but it stopped many years ago when I should have been replaced. So we're supposed to like cycle in and out, because it's not really like a leadership thing, it's a representation thing. But yeah. Okay. Any other announcements? I don't have any announcements. Besides that, I'm a mess today. Like wet hair and everything. I went and I bought a motorized standing desk this morning. So I have a desk riser and I really love it. But recently, just the way that I've been like managing like multiple screens and mic and just like stuff on my desk, having like 4 different levels on my desk, like smaller broken up areas, has not been working out for me, and I want just like one flat surface. and I found a place here that was selling them at like a reasonable price. I don't know what brand it is in the US because of the way things work here. It's not like one of the the more recognizable brands you get in the US, but one of those motorized standing desks with like the memory and everything. So I went and bought one of those this morning, but things operate a certain way here in Costa Rica, so it took the better part of 2 hours for me to go there, wait, get through the purchase process, the invoice issuing, them assembling it, loading it into my car, and bringing it home. So I am extremely behind this morning. Let's see. Okay, dual licensing, Gutenberg. So, hello. Thank you for the follow for both of you. Oh no, I'm really afraid of that. That's one thing that I'm afraid of with a motorized standing desk, because the one that I have is just like a hydraulic scissor lift kind of thing, and so it feels I don't know, more reliable somehow, because it's like they're not really any components that can break without being user fixable. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, what happens if this motor stops working? Am I just stuck? What happens? Can you manually bring it down? I don't know. Okay, so this proposal, which is I think a really great thing to read, is about how Gutenberg is licensed. So open source licensing is actually very important. And if you're really into open source stuff, then you probably have thoughts and opinions about copyleft and open source versus free software and how they are not the same thing. So there's a proposal to dual license Gutenberg so that it can be used in multiple contexts, because the idea is that Gutenberg should be able to be used outside of WordPress as well. And so that building web editors is a very hard problem. And I know that Matt talked about this once upon a time, that they tried to create a whole new editor for Calypso. Shout out to Calypso. Who remembers that? They tried writing a whole new web editor for that and quickly learned there's a reason why TinyMCE has made it so long. So it's a hard problem to solve. So it'd be cool to dual license it. Relicensing things typically means you have to, it's a big process. You have to reach out to everybody who's ever contributed, and they have to sign off explicitly that they approve of their contributions being relicensed. So, all right, and then the thing everybody's been waiting for, announcing 2021, a new default theme to launch with this release. Ooh, we had some confusion expressed this morning, which I didn't see because, again, I'm behind. Aaron just got an autonomous motorized desk and a wall mount for my monitors. Oh, man. So my monitors, I'm pretty sure are not VESA. Is that how you say it? VESA compatible? I'd have to check again, but I'm pretty sure they're not. I definitely prioritized aesthetics over compatibility in that regard, but that's okay. I'm actually I have a desktop that I saw that I really want, but I cannot acquire it here, again in Costa Rica. So I actually sent it off, some pictures and basic measurements, to a custom furniture maker here to get a quote for a custom desktop that will have a riser built into the back with drawers. So that my monitors would go up onto that riser, and then I would get a slightly deeper desktop made so I have more space. Okay, so they're going to have weekly 2021 meetings. I should probably put those in my calendar. I'm not going to open my calendar on stream, though, because sometimes my kids' names show up in that, so I don't. That's something I don't put online at all. Not even in like private online spaces. My kids are just nameless online. I'm excited. Okay, shipping one theme. Got it. Oh. So, okay, so people are confused because the part of this post talks about once the theme is stable after beta 1, which is beta 1 for core, it should be October 20th, I believe, then they'll start exploring full site editing support, which would be a separate theme, I guess. It is still not clear to me, even though like conceptually I'm on board, but it's still not clear to me where exactly those lines are drawn right now, or if they've even been drawn, so who knows. Well, okay, so the idea is that full site editing should ship in a beta state. I will let Josepha say the things because I don't want to like jump on what she's talking about, but. Somebody is texting me to see if I turned off my notifications before I started streaming, but joke's on you, I'm smarter than you. Let's see. Originally we had declared that full site editing would be in core by 5.6. That's, very, very clearly, oops, not happening. I have this corner hotspot to show my desktop. Well, Sam Sudler wants to be famous. Tried to show up in a notification on my stream. Since 2020 has been what it is. Okay, so it's going to come into Gutenberg as a beta feature. I think the idea here, if you look in the release planning post, is that we want to ship a public beta of full site editing. 5.6 planning post lists. Okay. I'm gonna remove this because it's like unnecessarily large in the context of this chat. Okay. So the idea is that can we get clarified what public beta means? I don't think that we even know. I'm just literally quoting this post. I think it just means that we talk about it, but as like a thing that people can use without disaster. But I don't know. I think we'll end up I don't know what this is talking about, but I think, especially given that this is dev chat, this is very easily this could very easily end up in a bike shedding situation where we try to define, like, does it mean backwards compatibility promises or whatever. Normally recommend. I don't think anybody's expressing frustration that full site editing won't ship in 5.6, but I mean, that sounds very optimistic. I feel like people are typically pretty okay when those types of features don't ship right away. One thing that I need to do is to start like shaping the way at least like my coworkers think about full site editing, right? Because like with client stuff, they're not usually jumping on to be like early adopters, and that's totally understandable. Like I don't expect anything else. But as like the implementers, it's on us to really start thinking ahead about like what full site editing means for future builds and how it could be like a net positive for existing sites that we work on and that sort of thing. So, honest answer. Okay. Anyone want to take the definition of public beta? I do not want to. I suppose I can. I need to minimize this too. I will let this person type and then let me check my DMs. Okay. Okay, I'll start typing. Public beta to me means that there is something available that can be recommended to a broader audience for use. However, I think that there is still quite a bit of bike sheddable material in terms of what that means for continuing compatibility and whether there's language around and whether there's language, whether the suggestion is not to use it on critical production sets. If you don't know what bike shedding is, it's a very it's like a software anachronism. Maybe, I don't know if other places use it. Okay, great. So Riyadh has an opinion too, so awesome. Seems like we're on the same page. But bike shedding, I don't know why it's a bike shed, actually. I don't know if I've ever looked this up. But it's basically saying here's a really, what color should the bike shed be, right? And you can just infinitely debate what color the bike shed should be. And so in software development, we use that to mean, these sort of arguments where you can kind of anticipate that they'll get, people debating back and forth. There's endless opinions, and typically it's because it's a small topic that's easy to latch onto and easy to form an opinion about. And so people tend to kind of pile onto it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but yes, let's open a discussion. Discussions are great. So we talk about, bike sheds. This is a Disney reference, I guess. So in Sleeping Beauty, at the end of Sleeping Beauty, the fairies are turning her, alternating between turning her dress pink and blue because they can't agree about it. That's what bike shedding is. And we have a I added this emoji. This is this animated bike shed. So it's just cycling through the colors. So yeah, that's a software thing. Oh, here. On CSS tricks, of course. Let's open this link. Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, we're all uncertain. Oh, Chris wrote this. So, bike shedding means talking / arguing about something easy / trivial rather than the bigger / harder issue at hand. Right. Yes. Sometimes this presents itself as being a pedant. Is that how you pronounce that word? God, I feel like I've never said that out loud before. Whether you're just picking on the small stuff. It's an accusation of wasted time. Yeah, I don't mean, so I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying as software developers and as core developers, but really anybody in software, and especially software leadership. It's really important to be able to anticipate when those things might happen and decide whether it's a reasonable exercise for people to engage in, or if it's better for you to like try to head off those, like the temptation to like back shed on something. So, okay. So now we have a proposal on REST API authentication. So I think this is the first okay, Tanya, I'm going to link this here. Here, I'll get it to you. Basically, in the core context, basically, I don't need it in a purely negative way so much as I want to acknowledge that the temptation is there, and so we should shape the conversation appropriately. Okay. So yeah. Let me see. Are there meant to be other proposals for other authentication types to compare them, and then have a goal of selecting one? Okay, 6. I don't, you know what? I probably should have looked at this first. I don't know if there have been other proposals. Sometimes it's good to just ask the question so that people know, like leaders ask dumb questions too. Maybe it's not a dumb question. Hide comments. No, there's nothing. Okay. Yes. Yeah, we just need more discussion about it. Yeah. Yeah, I love asking questions. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes like, I don't know, it's like getting into like deep topics, but okay, the comparison of other authentication mechanisms, and none are in a place ready to propose for core. Okay. I saw mentioned something of basic auth HTTPS sites. I wasn't sure if the idea was to pick and choose or just roll with whatever's ready, or just not roll in who's ready, continue adding in the future. Okay. See, I don't know. Asking questions sometimes can be hard because, like, as a leader, I want to show that it's good to ask questions and like how to ask questions, right? Like, you know, make sure that you are still being respectful of people's time and energy to answer your question. But at the same time, like every once in a while, not in WordPress, but like in other contexts, it's like, do I really want to ask a question, or are people going to be like, you know, women don't know what they're talking about? Like when I deal in security stuff, I always feel like if I have a question about security stuff, I usually have like a man ask it, because I don't know, the InfoSec world is like not super friendly. So, so yeah, I have my own things that I'm nervous about. So, it says I have something in the thread. Okay, it's just that. I wish that I could see just threads in public channels, but oh well. Okay. This is very nearly bike shedding material. Yeah, Aaron knows. He's done quite a bit with the security team. InfoSec is Yeah. I don't know. Like I've met lots of really wonderful people, and like even some of the more combative people, there are ways to like, you know, forge good relationships and that kind of thing. But I don't know, I feel like overall, like my experience with that has not been super positive, which is unfortunate because it's, so important. But I don't need to be an expert in everything. We have really great people working on security, so let them do their work, and I'll focus on what I'm better at. Okay. It's proved itself in active usage for the past couple years. Implemented. I don't know what does he call them? This like callback thing. Yeah. My only technical note here is making sure that we account for all types of installation, including scenarios, and never, ever error a site because of inclusion into success URL. Yeah, it's super cool. So we did this in distributor because distributor, you have to set up like an authenticated connection, and we recommend using application passwords. And so we actually bundle it in distributor now using Composer, right? So because we use Composer to include, I think the updater thing, so you can update it from GitHub, and application passwords. But we had to do a lot of work. Not a lot of work, but we had to be like super careful to make sure that you wouldn't end up with a fatal error depending on like if you had network activated it and then changed your mind and it was still active on another site. Like we had some like weird set of steps, and of course I fataled my own install locally doing that. Yes, cool. I know people are very thoughtful. Sometimes you have to say the thing, right? Okay. I mean, it seems fine. I wonder how this is going to be used. I guess that's always the question. Yeah. So Kadam is saying, as far as the alternatives, most of his preferred solutions were a similar flow. So it sends you to the other site, you log in, and it kicks you back to the original site. And so, it kicks you to the other site. If you're not already logged in, you have to log in. And then it says, do you authorize this site, to have access? You say yes. It generates the password and sends it back over. And it's pretty cool. So yeah, it's like a pretty easy to understand workflow. I think the only thing that like gets confusing is that I'll probably have to, I guess I should say this on the post. The only thing that I found confusing when doing that is that because our login pages are all the same, so when it kicks you to go log into the other site, so it's just not super clear that it's being like you need to log into this other site to get the credentials for that other site that you're creating the connection to. But I think that's specific to distributor because those are like site-to-site connections as opposed to like maybe some other things people are doing with authentication, right, into like non-WordPress apps, non-WordPress admin contexts. So, okay. Okay. So, D posted this. Okay, great. I just very clearly missed this post. Yesterday at 6, yes. Feeding my children. Nice. I'm gonna call her a hero. It's hard to write these posts sometimes. It's like lots of information. Okay, I'm gonna leave this open because I have an opinion right? So one thing that we do sometimes is like when we have these discussion posts, sometimes they come out of like other conversations that are being had. And so sometimes like when we make these posts, and especially like if I'm making a post about something that I already have an opinion on, I do my very best to make the call for comments like as neutral as possible. Knowing that like, I'm still a very opinionated person, so sometimes it's hard. But then leaving my own opinion for a comment on the post, right? So sometimes like I prepare my comments so it becomes the top one. But anyway. I will comment with my opinion and encourage other opinionated people to do the same. I'll comment on that post. Cool. My mic. Yeah, my mic's on bidirectional mode, so you're hearing my keyboard. It's fine. Okay, Facebook and Instagram embeds to be deprecated. Good times. Probably test and double check to make sure that a 400 response will not replace an existing embed upon post save. Yeah, this whole thing sucks. I don't care. Yeah, so I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, which is that like everybody's like, oh, can we push people to like can we help people with creating tokens and whatever so that they keep using embeds? And truthfully, like there are two things. One is that like Facebook in this case very clearly doesn't care about rich embeds, because if they did, they would just leave them on. Like there's really no reason to like make this authed, I guess besides like knowing who exactly is embedding them all the time. But like you would think that maybe you could make those richer or something, like make it more appealing to use the auth ones and just make the unauthed ones super basic or something. I don't know, but you would think that it would be nice for them to keep some amount of easy embedding of content so that it kicks it back over to like Facebook and Instagram. Because the reality is people are not going to go install plugins or set up developer apps and get their tokens and whatever. Like that is not going to happen. What's going to happen is what's already happening now, which people are going to start screenshotting everything. So yeah, killing the open web, security, blah blah blah. They don't care about the open web. They very, very clearly are not pro open web. This has come up many times. What will it look like? I saw in their docs that you could pass an argument to see what happens. So also be good data to comment. I'll wrap all of that up into a comment so that hopefully we get that. Yeah, so what we need to know is like what's going to happen to existing embeds, because embeds can be truthfully anything. Like I like Twitter ones because they give you the plain text of the tweet in a block quote, and then they have JavaScript that then formats it in like their whatever they call it, their like tweet card format thing. what we need to know is with the Facebook and Instagram ones, I think Instagrams are probably, yeah, I don't know. Cause like, if it's got some HTML in there that references like the URL of an image, that might continue to work, right? Or if it has like some plain text, that might continue to work and it just like won't get any formatting. But that's not the end of the world. Or it could be that it just like fails completely. I don't know. Or is it because like we're removing these from the OEmbed list? Is it going to stop looking for the post meta? Because I don't remember. So yeah, I definitely need to leave a comment on here as well, so I can work on that. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with all that stuff. It just seems really stupid. But anyway, everybody's just going to screenshot it. I think that's reality. So I think it's great that other people want to work on it from like a philosophical point of view of like, let's help people get embeds done and, whatever. And of course in core, we should try to mitigate this as much as we can, in terms of like displaying what exists. But from a practical perspective, and also given the kinds of things people are trying to get out of those posts in the first place, like you're worried about deletion, you're worried about like, sometimes like gossip blogs will show things like so-and-so commented such and such a thing. And so you can't there are no comment permalinks on Instagram. So they're going to screenshot that anyway. So a lot of this stuff is screenshot material as it is. So what I'm working on instead is putting, hook up the OEmbed to the WordPress.com screenshot service. You know what? That would actually be, that might actually be a really good plugin, to be honest, right? To have like backups of your embeds. That could actually be kind of interesting. Ooh, who are you? You're getting banned. Block. Cool. How do I... Oh, spam. I'm still learning how to use Twitch. How do I moderate a comment? Oh, here we go. Okay. Learning. Yeah, we're definitely just guessing at what's gonna happen. Screenshots to be done. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know without looking at the code if when we remove those from the embeddables list, if that also impacts the retrieval and display on the front end. I don't know without looking. So yeah, so a lot to think about there. But yeah, one thing I'm working on is because I work on a plugin called Classify, which hooks up to cloud services to process content. So we have image recognition right now, object recognition and generated alt text. So what I'm working to add, and I just wrote up the specs for it yesterday, is adding OCR to that. It has its funkiness, if you have text and columns. So I don't know, but it will at least give people the opportunity to retrieve all the text in a screenshot, and then they can format it however they like. It has some things, some technical things in there that are more complicated that are actually kind of interesting to solve. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, that's me being pragmatic. I think the reality is that screenshots will just continue to grow. And the idea of a plugin that screenshots embeds and has backups. And so if an embed fails, then maybe it populates it with that screenshot instead. That would actually be super cool. So now I'm Galaxy Brain. Yay, look at that component update. Shout out to Sergey. Clearly prepared this, so that's great. Daytime permalinks, no major news. We like this. Yeah. Yeah, Timothy, you got me really thinking about that screenshot plugin. I don't know what's happening now. Oh, I see a catwalk. It's like, what is happening? Oh man. I don't know. I always feel like I'm kind of like the odd one out because I work in open source, largely because the philosophy of it and, what the, like not being opinionated necessarily about like the content, wanting to support the open web and all of that really appeals to me like very, very strongly. Like I could certainly go work at like a startup or something, like join big tech. Have opted not to do that, at least so far, I guess, in life. But yeah, I don't know. But I'm still very pragmatic. And so when I see stuff like this and it's like, yeah, I want to support plain text and embeds and, like it annoys me a lot. Makes me kind of mad that they're turning off an auth to embed, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like pragmatically, right? Reality of the world. Screenshots. I screenshot freaking everything, and I pay for like the super expensive Dropbox Pro plan in probably 50% because they OCR all your images, and so you can search everything in your Dropbox by text because I screenshot everything. And so because like I get people sending me like weird messages and that kind of thing, so I screenshot everything, and then if I need to refer back to it in the future for whatever reason, search for it with plain text. I think that would be a super powerful thing in WordPress as well, even outside of like whether we're doing it, like whether the timing of it is motivated by this whole embed fiasco. The idea that people should be able to like upload screenshots or text heavy imagery to their WordPress and then be able to search it by that plain text, I think is super powerful. So oh, menus and widgets have a bunch of tickets ready for commit. Have those been set up as scrub focuses coming up? Might be helpful. Okay. Definitely helps me. Okay, so I have these 3 things to leave comments on. This 2021, I'm sure it's getting lots of comments. Let's see. People being supportive. I think Jorvin is not here in chat today. He would be proud of me. Somebody left this comment. I saw that and was so annoyed about it. Would you like to reword this to be something constructive? Because I don't like that. Like what is the point of writing that? Jeez. Anyway, doesn't help anybody do anything. So look at these. People are supportive. See, I said being supportive is also constructive. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you have to have like a criticism or something, or like something you want it to do. It's just, why say something that can't possibly do anything positive. First patch for major core auto updates ticket. Party. Yeah, These things, like, we should just scrub more often. I think the last time I let a release, so in 4.7, I would just hold like impromptu scrubs. I'd be like, hey, I'm around, like I'm not trying to like force people into you know, scheduling their time or whatever, but it's just like, hey, I'm around. Anybody else who's around right now, or maybe could like pay 20% of attention to this. I'm just going to run a scrub and just roll through things. Again, some of that is just so that like I'm not doing things in a vacuum, and so that people feel like the process continues to be open and public, because that is the goal. We're not perfect because we're humans, but yeah, like I feel like people should feel good running impromptu scrubs. And if it's like for this particular milestone, I think it should be in core and not in a component channel, because like I am not in all of the channels. It's impossible to manage that volume of information. So yeah, so we have like all these things, and so like just stuff that Garrett owns. I guess I don't know, this person can commit themselves, I think. I don't even know anymore. Can I keep track? Yeah, there's plenty in here. 13 tickets. That's more than enough for an hour of bug scrubbing. So, all right, I'm gonna close this. I think P2 crashes my browser eventually, so I'm always closing P2. So now I have to. There's 2 new comments on this. Ooh, okay, I definitely need to read this in depth. Okay. Yeah, so we now have 2 dev chats actually, like one for especially like APAC friendly. Just trying to like cover as much as we can in terms of time zones. I like basically can never make this unless I have insomnia for some reason, but it says it's at 11 p.m. my time, and I'm usually in bed by like 10, because again, I have kids. They wake me up at like 5:30 or 6 every day, so there's no way I'm not awake at 11 o'clock at night. Okay, a couple agenda comments to raise quickly. I'm gonna start working on my comments here. Close this. I'll leave this for a moment. Let's look, actually. Where is everything stored? Is it in WP? Oh no, I'm on another branch. I don't want to do that right now. What? Post an infographic on WordPress release facts and stats. What is this? Total releases, total downloads, supported versions, ratio, release cycle efficiency. I wonder how that's defined. Gender ratio and version naming. Music does not have a good history of being inclusive of anybody except like old white dudes. Okay, display graphic. Only 6 WordPress versions are named after female musicians. I think it'd be nice to see a I don't know, I guess a background breakdown as well. This is hard because like we don't use living artists, and because historically it's been so male dominated, it's like I don't know. Like this is already better than history has been to women in music, so which sucks. Strict CSP compatible. Oh boy. Oh, brother. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Disallowing inline JavaScript. Oh my goodness. 5 years ago, impossible. Okay. I don't think I have the stomach for this. Software engineering intern at Google. Huh. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't have any CSP experience. I don't know anything about this. Security people don't security people love to have opinions in a good way. So it would be great if they would have some opinions here, I think. Yeah, I super don't have the stomach for that. Huge step forward. So basically this is, I don't know CS like what content security policy is well enough to like be able to give you a definition on the fly. But basically we do stuff in WordPress that makes it hard to implement that in a strict way. And so, and the point of that browser feature is to prevent things like cross-site scripting, XSS. So I guess people are pushing to make it so that WordPress can use a strict content security policy. So that's cool. It's very cool that somebody's working on it, and it's extremely not something that I want to work on. So I hope somebody does eventually. Let's see this infographic. Are these, is this useful information? That's always the question. Yeah, the December comparison is not right, but I don't think now is the time to like give somebody feedback on their infographic. I just sort of feel like, okay, this history 2001, 2, 3, 17 years later. It's quite a jump. MP6 did not ship in 4.0. MP6 shipped in like 3.6. Did they say that MP6 shipped in 4.0? 3.8? Yeah. It was definitely 3 point something. Yeah, 3.8 sounds right. So yeah, post formats UI. I hate thinking about it because I was the feature lead for that. Haha. And then disappeared because I had a baby. Haha. It was 3 point something. Just let him know in a thread. Doesn't need to be for everybody to see. Just there's no correlation like basically at all except for the Gutenberg 5.0 thing. Okay, I wanted to look at how embeds work. I rewrote caching, but I don't remember how it fetches stuff. Okay, so we have a providers. Look at that list of providers. So we had to take out like all this stuff. I'm gonna get added to this no longer supported. So we have embed data parse. We get provider, adds, removes, takes a URL and attempts to return it. Getting the HTML. I have this suspicion that once you remove it from the list, it's actually not going to retrieve it from post-meta at all. So all of this may be for nothing. Let's see. This is a remote get, discovery, fetch with format, parsing, too legit. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure out what public beta means in a make core post. Okay, strip new lines. So it happens somewhere on the content. I just like, I don't know. Maybe we'll just search for it in the content. So finally, VS Code added, like you can open your search results in the editor, because then I can do like an add filter and just search for add filter calls, capital P. Okay, here are all the default filters. Do blocks. Oh, I wonder if it's in do blocks now, or if it's in short. Is it in short code? Oh god, I remember this being in some really awful place. You know, I think it's in do short code. Frick. Oh no, here, auto embed. Okay, yeah, it's because we this is absolutely horrific thing where it like emulates an embed shortcut. Okay, so let's jump here, auto embed. So, how does auto embed work? It wouldn't jump to. Okay, so function auto embed. Passes any unlinked URLs to shortcode for potential embedding. Okay, so we need to look at the function shortcode. Get Oh, so we just check for a cached result based on the URL. So we don't actually. Okay. Yeah, this is the part that I rewrote. See, 4.0. Core passwords. Okay. Cool. I'm not joining the channel. I cannot manage that many unreads. So I rewrote this once upon a time. So yeah, so we just retrieve it based on the URL. So I think Raj. Yeah, I think it returns false. So yeah, so we just retrieve it based on the URL. So you could have had an embed and then it's been deregistered, but it's actually still gonna grab it, because I'm pretty sure in that function auto embed finds all of them. Yeah, so it just passes it straight through to the shortcode. So that's good to know. So yeah, it'll continue to retrieve those things out of meta, which I think is expected. I just had this feeling of like, oh God, what if we're actually like comparing it against the list of providers? Although I think with the block editor, like we attempt to embed basically any URL now. It's no longer against this like allowed list of providers or whatever. So good job, Laura. Big week in WordPress. Yeah. Okay, so let's start writing comments. I don't know if this is like fun stream material, but this is my real job. So if you want to see what I do for work, that's a good way to see it. Okay, so I am on this Facebook and Instagram event. First, I verified that we do in fact continue to pull cached embeds from post meta even after a provider has been removed. And it looks like we do CWP embed, auto embed. Let's copy this. I pressed tab and it took me there. That was not what I was expecting. Oh my God. How do I get back to where did the comment go? Okay, here it is. Hi, Josepha. Has similar application passwords and application tokens. Hello. Who messaging me? Oh, it's a thread. It's so hard. I can't. Oh, here we go. Oh, I will respond to you in Slack later, Tanya, because I don't want to. I just don't like to open DMs on stream. I just never know like if somebody's gonna send me something that they're like feeling uncomfortable about. So I don't want to like. Okay. How similar in this instance they're not really comparable. We can solve for things that WordPress itself is doing, but it's not reasonable or good to build in token retrieval in a third-party service into core. At the very least, because they may change things on a different at a time where core is not going to have a new release, and so we're stuck. Okay, it looks like you see WP embed, auto embed, and WP embed shortcode. So I think what we need to do next here is the following. Do these get sweet? These get turned into bullet points. Okay. Take screenshots of current embed states for the various Facebook and I'm not even going to type them out. FB and IG post types. Take screenshots of what those embeds look like with JavaScript turned off. Take screenshots of what those embeds look like. CSS turned off. what does embeds look like with JavaScript and CSS turned off. Basically, trying to anticipate what existing embeds might look like should certain third-party assets stop loading. Excuse me. And then most importantly, ensure that the 400 returns Facebook documentation says we can, what is the word? Where you can pretend. English. So maybe I'll just open their documentation. Nope. I totally opened this yesterday. Developer, Facebook. Oh, embed legacy. Okay. Simulate. That's the word I'm looking for. Why? Breaking change. Okay. You can omit the script. Huh. Okay, well. Simulate this by passing the change parameter that the broken response says it should be a 400, and we can see this. Where? Yeah, return error code 400. Does not replace existing cached embeds, which is how embed caching is supposed to work. That is, so IE, like, so you have IE and EG, and the way that I think about them is like IE is in essence and EG is example given. That's not actually what they stand for, but IE is like a summary or a simile, and EG is like actual examples. How embed caching is supposed to work, i.e. failed responses should not replace existing successful ones. Okay. So, okay, let me preview my comment. Oops. That should be an actual, like, bold. Okay, so first I verify that we do in fact continue to pull cached embeds from post meta even after a provider's been removed. It looks like we do see these. I think what we need to do here is the following: take screenshots of those, take screenshots what they look like JavaScript off, CSS off, with both of those off, which is to say anticipating what they might look like should they stop loading, and then most importantly ensure that the broken response does not replace the existing cached embeds. Okay, so I can leave this comment. So I've left one comment that I said that I would. I'm so mad about this. I'm legitimately just like extremely annoyed about this stupid freaking. embed is just such a cool thing. And I know like people don't care about, I don't know, third parties, like these like social media especially, they don't really care about open web stuff. If anything, they sort of like sit in opposition to it. But embed just should be such a cool thing, right? And I like, from those other sites perspective, like, you know, everything can be justified, right? Like everything can, you can, I mean, we see this in like, you know, modern discourse. It's like anybody can find a way to justify just about anything, right? But to me, it just seems like kind of wild that you wouldn't want those types of embeds on other sites. Like it seems like a better way of driving people back to your little walled garden by having those embeds, right? So like you have the embed and it has like a certain amount of information, but like, you know, not quite enough to keep you away from clicking through and like reading the comments, or, you know, interacting with more comments or reposting it yourself or whatever, right? Like by pushing people to these like auth things, which like real people are not going to do, right? Like big publishers are going to do it, I think, maybe. But like real people are just going to screenshot everything. And it just feels like the screenshots are like kind of guaranteeing that people are not going to get pushed to the original posts. Right? Like how often do you see like a screenshot of a tweet on Instagram, and like, how do you find the original tweet? You have to like search for it because you can't link on Instagram, and also the people don't like to give credit for some reason. So yeah, it just seems super weird to me to like push people toward like the realistic outcome of screenshotting, right? It's like, if their developer team at this huge company is such that they've managed to convince themselves that making this change will push people toward creating developer apps, I don't know, like, then we should probably stop believing that like the best and the brightest work at these places, because that just seems like, I don't know, like a basic failure to understand how like humans use software. So I don't know. This whole thing is really nuts to me. Anyway, how best to gather component focus updates. I'm not gonna write this on stream because I have a lot to think about and I want to shape it a certain way. Massive Kool-Aid machine. I mean, yes, like I empathize. You know, it's very easy to like I don't know, to see like what you're working on as like good, right? And especially if like you're paid a lot, it's really easy to justify like doing these things, you know. But I don't know. The idea that like you could work somewhere, and maybe this is partially like just like my personality type, you know, but like the idea that you could work somewhere and like never oppose what's going on, or never like, I don't know, surely there are individuals who raise these concerns, right? And it's just like the management or the structure feedback or whatever it is, like is done in a way that like disregards that, you know, those concerns being raised. But it just seems like really wild to me that like you put a bunch of people who are supposed to be smart together and their conclusion is like, people will create developer apps. Not a chance. Yeah, anyway, so this thing, I have like several things about this. So if you look at Make WordPress Core and you look at components, if it ever loads. Okay, so yeah, so we have this components page and like there's some information here. So I think there are a couple things. There's how do we get updates? But I think in wanting to seek these updates, we have to be sure that we're not just saying like deal with what you have in order to give these updates, but also ask the question of like, how can we best structure, you know, give you the things that you need in order to have updates in the first place, right? So again, like engineering leadership is always just like, let's take a step back, look for root causes. So yeah, so I just want to make, I want to ask the question, like, is this still serving what people need in order to like, maintain their components effectively, right? So like all of these exclamation marks, that just seems like unnecessarily alarming. Like this just has one unresponded to thing, and like why do we need to be like, hey, you did something wrong, there's something bad happening here, this like ticker kind of thing. I don't know. Is this still useful to people? Is it just like over gamification? I don't even know because we're not like comparing it or anything. So is this whole thing, and like when you click into one, is this still useful for people? Long term, would people like to have like, boards to work on, right? Like some groups like use Trello, or you might use like I don't know, like GitHub's project boards, or what did Google just announce? They called it Table. Absolutely insane. They called it Google Table. It seems like a shot at Airtable. So that is like automation plus like a spreadsheet database type of view, in the form of boards. So yeah, so like, what are some wish list items people have here? I feel like I'd like to ask that. And then also, my opinion on this, which I will write out in a comment, is that I think that every week there should be a post that is a call for component and focus updates. And whoever posts that call then lists out all of them in the comments. And then people can reply to the comment asking for an update from their particular component or focus, if they have one, right? My only hesitation with that is then if you list out everything, then does it feel like you're calling out the people who don't end up, or like the groups that don't end up responding? So like that's a little tricky, but I feel like if you had a structure like that and people just know, I'm going to go here, I'm going to look for this thing, and I'm going to reply to it, that just seems like, I don't know, hopefully removing some of that friction. Because like I know it's definitely hard to be like, okay, I'm going to make a whole new post on Make Core and like seek out permission to, author permission there and all of that. But rather like if we just structured as like replies to a post. Actually, we get off stream in about 30 minutes because I have a meeting, but we'll play with this for a little longer. Okay, let's think about application passwords. I can leave my comment on there because I don't really have a whole lot, but I want to read this comment. I love to read opposition comments because I know this person to be like very thoughtful in their comments. So I really want to read this. So, REST API authentication is sorely needed. I'm not convinced this is the right approach. When it comes down to it, it's basic authentication with a few UX improvements for connecting apps. Offers little in the way of additional security. I mean, the biggest problem with passwords is the humans, so I don't know. One major flaw is that the WordPress site can't identify or verify the client's accessing it. I mean, this is true for any app password situation. Okay, not being able to identify a client also means the administrator of a site can't revoke passwords across multiple users if a specific app were to be compromised. Okay, I guess it's true. Although in the new thing that they have with the success callback thing, like you do have a client name. Like it's arbitrary, you can name it whatever, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but there's at least somewhat more data around that. External database breaches, they still have to store application passwords in clear text. Because it doesn't differentiate between authentication and authorization. There's central real passwords. I mean, okay. Yeah, I don't know how you get around that. You don't get around it, I guess is the answer. You have to store passwords in clear text. Passing them as get variables. Okay. I don't know if that's something that like needs to be addressed in the plugin / patch. Open redirect. Yeah, there's definitely quite a bit here. I don't know. I guess there are probably comments replying to this. Security burden. So whose security is this? OAuth. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why OAuth is like a whole ass specification. It has an OAuth 2, right? Because it has all of those things. I think, yeah, I agree with this. I think it'd be useful to at least consider these various vectors and categorically decide whether or not they should be addressed in a solution for core. I think that's correct. Who's ringing my doorbell? I think it's my sister-in-law. I think she's here to hang out with my children. That's why we moved to Costa Rica, because having two kids without any family around was super hard. So I don't know how people do it. I know a lot of people who do it, and you know what? You're all stronger people than I am, because I couldn't do it. Okay. I'll probably cut the stream pretty soon, because I'm just like reading to myself. But I definitely think this is like something that people who care about these things should read. Something that I care about, so I'm going to read it. And yeah, and all of these proposals, there's a lot happening. This is how a release cycle goes. It was really slow for a while, and I know a lot of people felt like, oh God, did I miss something? Am I not doing like my responsibilities because there hasn't been much to do in terms of like core stuff? But now things are moving. And another thing like about 2021 that I should probably comment on the post is I think I should ask, is there anything that the theme directory can do to help support showing 2021 to its fullest? Because I still have this personal agenda where I want the theme directory to do certain things, and it's just a matter of like making the case so strongly that somebody has to do it. Somebody gets assigned to do it, because that's not my arena. So all right, I'm going to cut my stream now because I'm just kind of, oh yeah, you don't need to worry about distracting me. I'm all over the place. Is my IDE color scheme available somewhere? It is fantastic. Yes, my IDE color scheme it's called Fairy Floss. Just, okay, I just saw. It is made by Amy. Here, I'll link it in chat. It's made by Amy, Sailor Mercury, Sailor HG, who's really amazing. And she does some really cool things just generally with art and soft technology, softness and technology. And so this is her color scheme. I think that I have something. Yes, she made these keycaps. I will talk about them in just a second. But yeah, I have it in. It's available for VS Code here. So yeah, there's. If you just search for Fairy Floss in VS Code, you can find it. I used it in Sublime Text before I moved to VS Code. And then I also use those colors in my terminal. So it's super fun. I really like it. And yes, Amy and Cassidy, yeah, they made, wow, you can see that I have looked at these things entirely too many times. They collaborated and created a set of mechanical keyboard keycaps called Astrala keys. It's a very similar color scheme. This purple, this one, it has like the purple, pink, and yellow. It doesn't have the teals. But yeah, it has these super cute keycaps, and they have like the astrology symbols and such. That's Amy. That's Cassidy. So they do cool stuff. I think Cassidy also, they both stream on Twitch too, so that's pretty fun. I should see if one of them is streaming. I don't know, like do a raid or something. Yeah, I have 2 sets of these in New Jersey waiting for me. So, so someday I'll have 1 or 2 Astrala keys, keyboards. And part of the reason why I'm changing my desk is because I want more horizontal space to like play with that stuff and also do like soldering and whatever, because I should have a keyboard kit here within the next week. And I'm thinking of building it on stream, like soldering the switches and messing with the layout. I don't have all the keycaps that I need. I don't have like a 3U spacebar because it's a manila style layout. So I'll just have to like use a different keycap and it'll just be the wrong size for a little while. But yeah, that's part of it too. I want to build a keyword on stream. So yeah, thanks for joining me today. Let's see, how does rating somebody work? Should I Google it? How to raid somebody in Twitch. Oh, so you type /raid. So you use slash commands. So who is actually online right now? Could we send you to somebody else? Expand. No. Nobody I follow is online right now. That's okay. We don't have to. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. I'm going to stream again, I think, tomorrow. Let me check. Yes. Oh, okay. I can open my calendar over here and you can't see it. There's a bug scrub tomorrow at 4 o'clock my time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern. So I will try to stream again before that and then during that as well. So thanks everybody. Have a good one.